Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Wireheads. We are a Cyberpunk Red podcast. We occasionally talk about Cyberpunk Red here, and by occasionally, I mean generally weekly. My name is Emmerron. I'm a content creator kind of ish. Joining me is always is my co-host.
Hello, everybody. I'm Diamond Dust. I also talk about Cyberpunk Red. And here weekly and run a game every Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're here. We're talking. So this week, if you have not gone to see Diamond's side of the episode yet, because this is an even episode, so the first part is on her channel. If you go to the link below here, you will be able to access that and then come back here for my part of the discussion. This is one of those weeks where we don't really have two separate topics. We have one topic that is the through line for the whole episode.
it's beefy.
It's chunky, which is when I first heard when they announced this, I was deeply curious and I had some very optimistic thoughts on what a single player mode for the game could be and what that could look like. I did not anticipate we were going to get it quite this soon after Gen Con. It's been barely a month since Gen Con, and yet we already have it, which is wild. I don't know that we've ever had something be announced and then released in quite that short of an order before with this game. So that has been very, very cool. So we were talking about single player mode and its associated DLC. That much like this is the really strange part is that most other DLC that are the adjuncts like plus, right? The DLC plus for a paid supplement have been for paid supplements that are hardbound books that Artel sells directly. And those books, to be quite fair, those books are like looking at Hope Reborn. Hope Reborn's like 194 pages. Danger Girl's 178. Black Chrome 170. Let me see. Tales of the Red is 198. So they're like a little bit, they're a little longer. They've got a couple more pages than your average POD supplement, I would say. Things like Interface Red Volume 3, which is to date, I think the longest that we've got was 114 pages. Interface 2 was only 78. Interface 1 was 66. And 4 was 90. Yeah, so like those are just shy of 100 or just over 100 roughly. Single player mode, as we discussed in the first part of today's episode, is 104 pages within the document, plus the front and back cover. So the length of it is shorter. It's a little bit on the shorter end, and yet, unlike almost every other short document like this that we've gotten, we got a plus for it, and the plus is honestly what took this supplement from a 9.5 to a 10 for me. Like, it was nearly perfect on release, and then they gave us the plus DLC. Or I will say, because I'm media, so for those of you who haven't watched my review of this, I'm gonna probably retread a lot of that same ground as we talk through some of this today, because the stuff that I'm covering for the book is the stuff that I think everyone will be using, and why I think this is a like supplement that everyone, not just solo players or people who don't know how to GM or whatever, like those aren't the only people this is marketed for. This is for everybody. And that's because there are generators and tables and forms, and these are all so good. Like, they are so good. And the DLC side of this is something that I wasn't given with my media copy. So I had no idea they were doing one. I'd assumed because this was a little more of that, like I said, 100-page-ish supplement, that we were going to be like this is it, and we're riding with it. And I was cool with that because even with what it had, 9.5. This thing has so many useful tools. The handful that it was missing were things that I'm like, oh, but you know, having something for the atmosphere, for like, what are you, smelling on the street, or like random junk you could find that isn't necessarily from a dead guy. Like stuff like that are things that I've gone to other more generic supplements for in the past. Like one I've talked about repeatedly has been augmented reality. And that Plus DLC gave us like all but the city builder portion of augmented reality is now covered somewhere between the core book for single player mode and the Plus DLC that it got on the back end. So that's why it's a 10 now. It has literally everything I was hoping for out of it, because now I can just replace augmented reality with this. It is actually that good. So I suppose before I continue glazing this thing, let's talk about why I think this is so good. So we covered all of the solo tools and going it alone in Diamond's half of the episode. So if you want to hear us talk about those things,
but that mainly covers the engine.
Yeah, it covers why single player is useful. There are a couple of tools that we discuss in there that I'll retread in this half of the episode. But there is some insight there into why they are so good, regardless of if you're like a standard table or you are a solo table. So the first section we get for this, as we continue into my half of things here, first thing we get is a section on missions and campaigns. And this is pretty short. It is all of like 3 real pages here. And the mission builder here. So this is why I said in Diamond's half of the episode, this is so good, and why I think if you're looking to build a mission, even for a standard table, and you want the mission to be relatively high fidelity, high resolution, like you've got a lot of the fine points kind of solved within this, this is where you're going to use the mission builder. Because the 5 steps that you go through with this is you ask yourself, who's hiring? What's the mission? Define the focus. So basically, like, what are the specifics of the mission that go beyond just the general scope of it? You know, like, you might know you're doing an assault, but then, okay, well, what are the finer points of that assault? Why are you doing it? Then we have determined payment. So, like, how much are you going to get paid for this? And that the payment, it is a reminder here, and this is why I think most gems need to hear this. Payment isn't always just money. Payment can also be things like items, things like goods, things like services. We see a couple examples of that scattered around the Tales books, that the payment for a certain gig might not be hard eds, or at least not entirely hard eds. It might be that you get some food that supplements your lifestyle for the next month. Or you might get favors from a like local potter. There is a example of this in Tales of the Red Street Stories, where a favor for doing one of the gigs is one of the local pottery kilns can be used to dispose of a body one time. So things like that come into play. And they're very fun when they do. So that is a good reminder that everyone needs to hear, is that determining payment can include things like that. And the final thing that you're going to find out here is adding twists. No job is ever going to run entirely smooth. No job is ever going to be perfect. And so we add some kind of twist or complication or something not going according to plan, right? Because when that happens, it can take the form of either a full-blown complication of like, hey, this wasn't part of the plan, and now you have to deal with that in addition to this stuff that was. Or it could be something like a narrative consequence of like, we now have a moral or ethical problem that we need to figure out which side we're falling on. Because sure, the gig might have been go in and steal our shit back from the people that took it, and honestly flatline a couple of them to make a point, and then you realize, oh, they stole this shit. The group that stole this shit, one, are just desperate, and they are maybe of a community that one of your crew members is like sensitive to, where they're like, either they came from it or they were neighbors or whatever. And now you have to reconcile, is the money we're getting paid to do this really worth it, right? Or is there a way for us to play both sides on this without getting burned by a corporation? Like, how do you play that out? And so, yeah, that is also a way that you could play the twist. And all of that gets brought up in this mission generation. And then, of course, there is the beat chart system, which we can roll to see kind of where we start. Standard beat charts alternate. There are several missions that I've seen in the past which violate the pattern. I'm currently writing one which kind of violates that pattern, but it's for the right reasons. But again, if you are a new GM, this will give you familiarity with the beat chart system, and it will let you know what the rules are, so that once you are good at them and you've kind of mastered the basics, you can then bend the rules, kind of like I'm about to. And we'll see. Maybe when I play test my gig for the first time, people look at me and they're like, Emmerron, this is burnt. You did not cook, my friend. Like, don't do that. And I'll learn from my mistake. But I feel comfortable enough now because I know how to run a standard beat chart to do that. And you will too if you do this. And then beyond that, you can go out to a full campaign if you really want to. This gives you enough, flexibility and integrity with what you're building to expand it that way. But a lot of these lean into like roll tables you'll find in the back of the book, like people in Night City, mission types, and then there's list-in tables of all kinds that might help you define that focus. Even things like adjective or noun tables to kind of get yourself an idea of like the nature of something, or what a MacGuffin you might use would be. But yeah, I mean, overall, Diamond, when you look through the mission builder section here, because this is kind of like I've talked through kind of the entirety of it at this point, how do you feel about how this compares to some of the other mission builders we've seen in things like Cyborg, or in like more directly for Cyberpunk Red, the Listen Up article that Rob Mulligan made for the system?
So with Rob Mulligan's mission builder, I've used that a few times, more for when it's just like we're not in a good spot to continue the main plot, so quick, make a side mission.
It's time for the beach episode. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very much what that's there for, and I feel like Cyborg's mission builder, it kind of follows suit in the same way, where it's very much non sequitur. It is, you make the mission, what the party is after, what the twist is, and how many credits are on the line. Where it feels like with missions and campaigns here in this book, it seems to really help take what was in the back of the core rule book about running the game and like writing missions, and actually make it a little bit more tangible. Because we have all the different examples of what different beats are in the back of the rule book,
right?
And we have some stories, but it really feels like with missions and campaigns, they for anyone that is new to the beat chart system that Cyberpunk Red uses, this is really good. This does a really good job of setting why, like giving you why the mission is happening, how to write the hook, and then how do you develop the mission from there.
Yeah. No, and I am a firm believer in the beat chart system as an organizational structure for running a gig. And I feel like anyone who has struggled to kind of get it under them, because I did for a while too, once I'd read enough of the stuff out of Street Stories, I had a very good grasp of, that's how it's supposed to work. That makes sense now. I'm someone who very much, like, I need a visual example of what someone is giving me, whether that is like a do it in front of me and let me watch and then let me try being supervised, and once I've done those, I will know what I'm doing and like do it fine, right? And that is the equivalent of that for me. It's like, show me how a beat chart is written so that I can address that within a gig, and then I can be like, all right, I will run that gig then, feel how that feels to run as a GM, and then I can easily then from there extrapolate, like, okay, this is how I would write this if it were me writing a gig. So that's like where, like, if you go out and you look at, there's a couple of the gigs that I put out on like my Patreon. There's Vended Heist that I believe uses a beat chart system.
It does.
Definitely know Pay to Win uses it. Jackpot is very much a scream sheet. It is very much a one beat kind of gig that doesn't really need the chart. But Pay to Win and Vended Heist have enough going on that you absolutely will use the beat chart system in them. And those were my like examples to the community that I've got for you so far. And if you couple that against what this presents in here, I think you're going to enjoy. I think you're going to enjoy how this creates the mission for you, and I also think that it's going to serve as a good tutorial for a lot of you that need what I need. But beyond that, once we're kind of through that, so did you have anything else to say about missions and campaigns before we move on?
Not really. It seems that this is, reading this, it feels like it's more of a good primer to getting into writing full-scale missions.
Yeah.
For those that are definitely coming into the system.
Yeah.
I think that's what this is more here for, especially because a lot of us experienced GMs who have done a lot of missions have done the beat chart system.
Yeah, and I would kind of agree that those of us who already have experience with the system one way or another probably have at least a loose grasp on like what this is supposed to look like. This is going to make you more familiar. And even those of us who do have experience, like I looked at that, I'm like, well, shit, I've got all these tables to use now. So if I get stumped, like writer's block is real. Writer's block sucks. So anytime you have a way to overcome writer's block because you're like, I don't fucking know what I want to do with this, let's roll a couple dice. Awesome. Now I know what I'm going to do with that. And it gets you past that hurdle without you needing to sit down. Like I have used my wife as a rubber duck before. For those of you who know that method of problem solving, I've used my wife as a rubber duck before to be like, okay, so I'm going to lay this out. I need you to tell me if you think of anything that would work for this. I may come up with an answer while I'm explaining this to you. So I go out, I explain it to her, and then I'm like, I know what I'm doing. So this can just serve as like a wheel against which you can grind those thoughts, essentially. You might, before you even get the answer you want, you might roll and decide, I don't like that. And all of a sudden it'll make it really clear why you don't like that, and B, what you would like instead. Sometimes that is the way you come to it. So all of those things are going to be very, very, very useful for even like established, knowledgeable GMs who know the system. This will be the thing that breaks your writer's block when you come up against it. But yeah, any other comments on that?
No, not Off the top of my head.
Very cool. All right. So now for some art trivia, which we kind of gave to Twitch chat already because I was looking for one of the pieces of artwork from the core rulebook. Now that we have a little more context for what we're looking at, so the artwork for missions and campaigns as a section shows a cityscape with a massive helical tower rising in the background, like I think it's a double or triple helix rising in the background.
Triple helix is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit to figure out what I'm looking at here, but on page 312 of the core rulebook, they talk about ziggurat offices in the upper marina. Mm-hmm. And ziggurat offices are located in an impressive curved skyscraper designed to soar above the bay and command attention. Public access is limited to the occasional press conference, and it's just like, that's absolutely Ziggurat Tower. That has to be Ziggurat Tower.
Yeah, well, and I'm like double checking that. Let me see, because it's in Little Europe, I do believe. So I wanted to double check.
Was there another possible one?
Could be. No, I was looking to see if we got another look at like another description of the ziggurat offices. Oh, there it is. It is in B. Where is B? B is the upper marina, actually. That is fascinating. Okay. So I thought for some reason that they were along the coast of Little Europe. So Ziggurat offices, the headquarters of Ziggurat, the company responsible for building, maintaining. Okay, yeah, they don't give like a description of the building. Bottom line, though, yes, that would absolutely dominate. Dominating the skyline is exactly what that building is doing. And so that is a street level view. I have a sneaking suspicion that that is a little bit of preview of artwork that we're going to get in with NC 2045 when that drops. It's too good not to. It looks vaguely reminiscent of that same broad scope style that we got with the title art that we've seen in the post. That kind of was sneak peeking some of that around. I think it was just after Gen Con that we got that. So the next bit of artwork, and this contextualizes some stuff in the core rulebook as well. So at the lists and tables chapter art, we see a red figure with what looks to be glowing cyber eyes. And to be quite honest, they look kind of like an FBC in the way that they are kind of decked out. But when Diamond and I first looked at this, we're like, okay, there looks to be like some kind of probes circling her, and they kind of look like observer drones from Interface Red Volume 1. And I was like, okay, like that's cool. But there's this huge array of like plates on her back, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like what? Because originally I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, this is a real person, and that's chrome. What in the hell is the chrome on that? And we asked Jay, thank you Jay for answering. We asked him to clarify for us what this was, and he's like, oh no, that's a net avatar. That's the armor program, and the eyes are Sia's. And I'm like, oh, that's really wild. That's so cool. I had never seen, understanding at least what I was looking at, I'd never seen a depiction of a net avatar before. And then it occurred to me, there are two other characters like this that we see in the core rulebook. One is partway through Friday Night Firefight, and it shows a very similar looking character with a gun in her hand. And so that one,
similar environment.
It's similar environment too, yeah. So that one kind of felt Netrunner-ish. The gun kind of makes me question whether or not that is a net, but it could be just a custom icon.
Well, yeah, I mean, for all we know, that is just Hellbolt, as a program just fired out of a gun.
Right.
That could just be Zap.
I see. So I'm laughing because I just flashed back to freshman English in high school. All right. So follow me, chat and Diamond, as I lead you through one of what some the people who enjoy Shakespeare in the audience are gonna probably have a little bit of a laugh when I recount this. So Romeo and Juliet, of course, is one of probably Shakespeare's best known works, right? And the play features a lot of, sparring in the streets, especially early on. Swords get drawn. There's specifically a line that I remember our immature teenage selves in that class giggling over, where, leader of the Montagues is like, "Bring me my long sword, ho!" And it was just like, okay, that's too funny. Modern English and Shakespearean English are at odds there in a way that's really funny. So there was a film rendition of Romeo and Juliet back in, I want to say it was like the early 2000s, that had Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo in it. And they were using all the Shakespearean lines and stuff, but the context of the film was very modernized, like guns instead of swords. And they pulled out a pistol at one point in this, and it just said sword along the side of the slide. And so I'm just picturing, they saw that Romeo and Juliet adaptation and decided they needed to customize their sword to be a pistol. That is why I am laughing. Thank you for hearing me yap for 5 seconds here about this. So, 1996, oh shit. All right, so that's as old as my brother. I was 4 when that came out. Yikes. All right, the 70s really were 30 years ago, guys. If you can relate to that, you'll know exactly where I am right now. So with that, this all to say that there's another image that shows a probe like this that we see in listing tables on the cover art. And it is on the cover of View from the Edge from the core rulebook that shows what I thought for the longest time was just a dude sliding down a series of LED signboards in the middle of the city. And I'm like, that's badass on its own. But when you take into account that the little like probe next to him looks like nearly the same as those orbiting who we know to be a Netrunner at the start of this table, you suddenly realize, oh no, he's sliding through a network. That is a Netrunner doing Netrunner shit. That's very cool. So yeah.
But also at the same time, we see the sword being stabbed into the screen, and I see that this one leaves me confused. Like, are we seeing what virtuality looks like for Netrunners?
I would say yes. I would say yes. I would lean into yes on that, because honestly, if I'm a Netrunner and I'm trying to be a Bushido badass in the net architecture, I'm 100% sliding with a sword. Are you kidding me? That's sick. It feels very runner coded. Now that I've seen the probes, I'm like, that feels right. Prepper Jack, college days for you. So that was one of the college films you ran out to go see. For me, that was like Cloud Atlas, which is another really obscure one. Some of you, if you've seen it and you like it, we're friends. Whoever you are, we're friends now. Because so few people I know have seen that film, or those that have just leave confused. Like, my parents don't know what to make head or tails of that, and I'm like, I love this. It's so beautiful. It's poetic. All the yapping aside, I've yapped for too long. Listen tables. This is quite possibly the best thing in this supplement. And it takes up 70 pages of the document. Like, the back. Yeah. Well, not 70, I guess. There are still forms at the end that take up about 12, but the the bulk of this book, the better half,
Yeah.
are lists and tables.
Everything covered on my half of the episode, missions and campaigns, that's the first 30 pages of a 102-page book.
Yep. It's wild. It is wild. So I'm going to just cover what tables are in here, and then I'll give you the ones that I think truly are useful and why I think that, right? So we've got verbs, nouns, and adjectives, each of which have their own table. We have sights, sounds, and smells, each of which, of course, have their own table. We have a list of the Night City districts. So if you are needing to roll on where something happens, and you're not entirely sure where you want to place something, like if you are right at the start of writing a gig, maybe, you could roll on that. We have specific locations, such as we have corporate, upscale, moderate, community, street, combat zone, or the outskirts as tables in that section. We then have places to live. We now have roll tables consolidated in one spot for the cube hotels, the cargo container communities, corporate con-apps, apartment buildings, Night City hotspots, and Night City bars. We have these now built into a single chapter of this book, so you do not need to spread yourself out between multiple even interface books before, which was as consolidated as some of these things got in the past. The hotspots in particular were part of the data.
They weren't
pack.
even a roll table.
They
were just a list of hotspots.
No,
Well, I mean, there were like 20 hotspots, I think,
Yeah.
is what it was.
And they established them on a roll 20 table. So you could roll a d20 or roll a d10 divided into fives to determine, or d100 rather, divided into fives to get one of them at random. So they started it much like the random encounter tables are at the back of the core rule book, where they just kind of said, yep, here's your d100 table, roll it, whatever.
Well, yeah, and even like one of these hotspots didn't show up until after the data pack was out. So that's a couple of them even, I think.
Really? Hold on, now I need to look.
One of them we visit during Bathed in Red. The other one we visit during Welcome to the Neighborhood.
Yeah, some of these are new. Yeah. Well, and some of these aren't. Oh, I see what they've done here, though.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So they've consolidated. So this is actually even better. I came into this half cocked apparently.
And one of them's bars.
Yeah. Well, so that's it. Like, because the Night City hotspots we got in the data pack were a mix of clubs and bars.
Yep.
And this is now the hotspots are clubs, and the bars are just bars, and they've broken them out into their own 2d6 tables because there is a range of where something is most likely to happen. So may I just say I'm so pleased that on the Night City hotspots table, the number 7 is Short Circuit. That is the most likely hotspot you're going to end up in the city, and I love that place. Personal favorite. And then the bars, it's Maria's. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I want you guys to buy this. Ultimately, and Artal would probably, send someone after me if I did spoil too much. But just knowing that is the most common 2 places that you can end up in the city for a bar or a nightclub is hilarious. So beyond that, we've got factions. So you've got the companies, corporations, criminal organizations, law enforcement groups, nomad groups, and gangs. All of those have their own tables. Then we've got the people of Night City scattered between corporate or upscale areas, moderate or community areas, street or combat zone areas, outskirts, random relationships, and the visitors to Night City. So like, we've got a mix there too of like, how familiar do you want them to be with a certain part of the city or fit into a particular element of the city? If your gig happens like Pay to Win does in an upscale part of the city, then like you're going to get a set of people that you can roll on that are hyper specific to that area. So then moving past that, this is one of those. So I'm going to highlight this as I come to this, because more than anything else, can I tell everyone right now, if you are not a GM and you listen to our podcast, when you, a player, ask us as GMs, so I want to go to the bartender, what's their name?
Fuck.
I hate that question. And it's not you as the player that is the problem in that moment. It is, I need to pull out a name out of my ass that is both appropriate for the environment you're in, doesn't sound weird, and makes sense within the broader context of things. And also does not overly stereotype, right? Like if I am establishing that I'm in an area of the city which is predominantly, Mexican or Hispanic, right? And I decide that the bartender's name is Jose, there is a demographic of people that might take some umbrage with that, probably mild umbrage, but it makes me feel bad. Because if that's the only Hispanic name I can think of on the spot, I hate myself for that. Because then I'm like a little bigoted, or at least overly general, right? If I can't think of some less generic names like Humberto or Alejandro or things like that, like off the rip, because at the time your brain's just gonna go whoop, fuck, didn't prep this, and you're gonna try and spit the first thing you come up with. Yeah, Barb Tendra, exactly. You're either gonna portmanteau it, or you're gonna fuck around until you either fall on your face or you come up with something that's actually kind of clever. And inevitably, if you do the second one, your players are going to remember it and you're not, because you came up with it on the spot. So now we have a list of names for both masculine, feminine, and non-binary names. They gave us 3 different tables that you could pull from and use, and it is not going to sound weird. You also have ones for handles, and you have an NPC mood table that's built into this as well. And that NPC mood table is, just kind of dictating emotion and stuff like that. Yeah.
I have one comment about the non-binary table there. We don't have the people that decide to look at an object and be like, yeah, that's my name.
Well, that's where you have...
That's a trend.
No. You have the nouns table. It's just not in the names table. Yes. But you have the nouns table. You could also use that for non-binary.
Yes, Mud. I'm talking about you. I don't know if you're watching our show, Mud. Same goes for you, Fish.
Exactly. I'm like, I know several people that have done this thanks to diamonds. So, I don't feel bad pointing that out. We have a nouns table, too. You could use that if you're feeling it's not non-binary enough. So so that's fun.
What's your name? My name's Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, I'm not here to judge. The handles also kind of help with that, because handles typically rest on being some kind of the table here it's not a list of handles. It just literally says roll on this and you'll get something like let me see. Do I have a D100 present? No, I have a D10.
I got one.
I've got a D10. All right, if you got a 100, yeah, roll me a D100.
You're not gonna fucking believe this. 69.
Nice. So on a 69, the handle is knight. So as in Knight. So yeah, and so you're like, okay, this guy's handle is knight. Awesome. So that is there now. We have names. So never again will you, a GM, be horribly off balance. You could just roll on this. Matter of fact, I've used this already to start generating names in a book, because I'm like, I need to know what I'm doing, and I don't have a name right off the rip here, and this will help me get one centered. And now I do. So the next set of tables, we have roles. So we have the NPCs by role, which are literally, you've got a list of 10 execs, a list of 10 fixers, lawmen, medias, Medtechs, Netrunners, Nomads, Rocker Boys, Solos, Techs, and then you have a D6 table of characters that have no role that have featured in literature somewhere within the core rulebook or one of the other supplements. This is awesome. The fact that we could just be like, oh, you need a solo? Cool, let's roll solo. And if you don't want to come up with a handle and a personality, you just roll on this. And you have both the handle and the personality. Very, very useful stuff. So the next thing here, there it is. Then you have a set of things tables. So we have things lists for fashion, fashion wear, separate table. Black ice, firearms, kibble flavors, Tritafizz flavors, and advertisements. And the advertisements one is visual, which is really fun. It is a roll 10 table of some of the various ads that we've seen show up. I think there's even one here that we've never seen show up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Diamond. But
what page am I looking at here?
You are looking at page 64, 65 if you're PDFing it.
So looking at these 1, 2, 3, and 7, I haven't seen.
1, 2, 3, and 7 exactly. I think I've seen 3 before.
Yeah.
I think that one appeared in Interface Volume 4. The other two
probably missed it.
The other
7
two
is the
brand
artwork
new.
from Black Chrome.
Right. Combat Zone, though. Combat Zone, though.
Combat Zone? You mean the awesome miniature fighting game by Monster Fight Club? No, we're talking about the television show.
We're talking about the television show, which
shot in holy
Yeah, I think I've heard a little something about that, and I can't remember if it was in a publicly disclosable place.
I think it was written somewhere. I'm pretty sure that was written somewhere.
I'm going to lean on it wasn't a public source, and I'm just going to say you'll hear more about that soon. And if we have talked about before, and you should go back through our episodes and watch it.
I think it might even be in Night City Atlas. One sec.
If it is, even better. Bottom line, Combat Zone is an N54 show, as indicated by the artwork on here. So, there's some stuff on those tables that are visual that this thing feels like both a good set of tools and a teaser for upcoming stuff. And I'm very interested to see how much of that ends up panning out. So you have things tables for all of that. Then you have Corpse Loot, which I talked about a little on Diamond's part of the episode. Mm-hmm. You have a table for each of Street Rat corpse items, Edge Runner corpse items, and corporate corpse items. So you can, each of those is a D100 table of items that you might find. Some of them useful, others not. I think one of my favorite items that I encountered that does nothing to beat the corporations are really just satanic groups allegations is one of the corporate corpse items that you could find is a cred chip with exactly 666 eddies on it, which was very, very interesting. I kind of dug that. Then we have media. So we have radio stations and what's on screen. I don't believe we've had a what's on screen before. I think that's a new table. This is a 2d6 table, which is, again, this is all atmosphere building stuff. If you're noticing, a lot of stuff I'm highlighting is like either atmosphere or secondary stuff that like you as a GM may just be like, I want to add an environmental bit of texturing. This is how you do it. Because like you walk into a bar, bars always have TVs. Don't tell me they don't. They do. They always have TVs. And the 2d6 table, the number 7, is La Pasión Dorada, which is an over-the-top telenovela about an exec on her way up the corporate ladder, which, yeah, that sounds about right. If any of you have ever seen telenovelas, as I remember watching, there was an educational one, ironically, in Spanish class in high school that we used to watch. and like they are something. They're in a breed of their own. Like soap operas ain't got nothing on telenovelas. That's all I'm gonna say. So there's that.
Oh, yeah. Because Combat Zone's also mentioned in here, and it's actually part of New Westbrook's description. It's an urban sprawl of the remains of upscale suburb mix of glitz and glams with tent cities and low rent housing. Most of the northern part of the district is occupied by a walled off fake city where Network 54 runs and films The Combat Zone, a battle royale game show in which 50 people enter and only one gets to leave alive, with a year's worth of real chicken dinners as the prize. It's a little fucked up.
I hate that that's both parody and yeah, fuck. See, the thing is, last night, Emmerron Yap session number 2, this is my half of the episode. There's last night I went and saw The Long Walk, and let me just tell you, I didn't realize Stephen King wrote The Hunger Games before The Hunger Games. Jesus Christ, that film was bleak. It was so bleak. Like I had some very existential horror moments in there that I never really thought about in quite the context that film puts it in. Yeah. So like hearing that they have a televised 50 enter, 1 leaves. Yeah, it's fucked up, but you know what? I bet you every one of those people actually volunteered. I don't think that they would kidnap the people. I bet they got them willingly, because they wanted the opportunity to feed themselves, which is even worse, honestly. Yeah. GM, why are all of your bartenders called filler? Unironically, that's a great bartender handle.
Also, I saw number 9 and I'm just like, well, shit. Number 9, the game.
Yeah.
You all have lost. Anyway, but yeah, they also talk about what kind of games are on. We got combat soccer, basketball, baseball, and murder ball. I hope we get rules for murder ball at some point. I want to know what the fuck is murder ball.
Murder ball is a real sport. Murder ball is a real sport. You could actually look the rules up for the legit game already. Yeah.
Oh, and of course, an isekai about a netrunner reborn into their favorite MMO, ELO Chronicles.
We've heard about that one before a little bit, yeah.
Crime and Punishment, live electro whipping and executions. I'm sorry. What?
Public executions are back, baby, and they're big money. Let's go. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Public executions, everyone. They're so good for everyone to be able to see them live on TV.
Yeah. But we have Puma Squad, I guess. Anyway. So, also, of course, talking, like, backpedaling back to missions and campaigns, because, like, I need to get away from the existential horror for a moment here. They, give you various mission types that now I'm looking at. It's like, oh, you know, I didn't think about these. This is a great idea. But they, give you many different mission types to kind of think what to work with here. If you need a mission item or a MacGuffin, they got a table for that. And also, what the MacGuffin might be, because you roll to see what table you roll on.
Yeah.
And then you roll on that table. Which is absolutely fantastic. Including, MacGuffins, like a kidnapped NCU student. We have not seen that one before. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, we've never seen that one before.
We've never seen that one before. Nope. What are you talking about?
You're right. Yep.
And then they also give you beat charts to kind of give the various random beats that are out there, including page references in the core rulebook. You should really have the core rulebook. Make sure you have the core rulebook if you're going to use this. Do not try to use this without the core rulebook. You'll have no idea what you do, what's going on here.
Yeah, this and this is something I think we said it up front, but I'll say it again here. This is not a replacement for the core rulebook for even single players. You need the core rulebook to still make this make sense. because you need to know. Obviously, character creation rules aren't in here. You might be able to take this for a spin on the single player mode, or not single player mode.
Easy mode.
Easy mode. Thank you.
To a degree, maybe.
To a degree, you could probably play around with that, or like if you want to take this for a spin, with the pre-gens, you could maybe do that. You're still going to want to know how to roll up an NPC though. And so the core rulebook is, bottom line, I think, is always going to be necessary to run this correctly. But yeah, we have generating missions and plots. So that's like the types table, mission items, MacGuffins, corporate, high tech, moderate community, street, combat zone, and nomad outskirts for all of those tables. Very, very good.
But then, of course, talk about climaxes, resolutions. I feel resolutions more come naturally depending on what happens during the climax. So rolling for resolution,
I mean, if you're solo playing, it might still be a useful table to have, just because if you don't know how you want the thing to resolve, as in like the last beat of the mission is going to now be uncertain, you can roll that. But yeah, I agree that those tables in particular, because they've got random, that's part of the random beat chart section, of which there are hooks, cliffhangers, developments, climaxes, resolutions, and plot twists. So you can roll those randomly if you really need to like get a sub classification for yourself, because they cover those in the core rulebook a little bit about like what different kinds of hooks and cliffhangers exist, for example, in terms of like if you're going to play a particular type of narrative beat. This just lets you kind of roll those so you can determine like what happens next, which is very, very good. And then we have what honestly I think, and I need to look at the way these were structured back in the core rulebook, but we have all of the random encounters tables restructured here. And I think they've been modified even. I think these have been modified and expanded upon. Because we have some corporate executive threat ratings by day. We have some of those by night. We have those after midnight. And then we have moderate for the same time periods. And then we've got combat zones for those time periods, as well as the outskirts for those time periods. So you get, ultimately, each of those is 20 items on the table. So it's a D100 table subdivided into sections of 5 results. But the fact that we have 20 options for each time of day for each major segment of the city is very cool. And the fact that they're in nice condensed tables and not multiple pages in the back of the core rulebook now is immaculate. So good. I am so happy with this.
And then finally, we have the many random encounters, but I suppose one of the other things that's included in here is just you can make your own random tables.
Yes,
those are nice.
Those are really nice. Unironically, I think that this is going to help people who have a little less familiarity about what weighted tables look like for dice rolls. And it lets you really like think about, if I make a 2d6 table, for example. It took me forever to realize this, by the way, and I'm ashamed of it because I know what odds on 2d6 are. Blame craps for that. But it took me a while to realize, in the context of Cyberpunk, that 2d6 are going to have some things that happen more often than others, solely because of where they are on that table. And I've had to explain this to other people too, which makes me feel a little better about myself. It's like, I'm not stupid. I just failed to recognize it. And this will because it gives you on each of these random tables that are blank, it gives you what each line's likelihood of happening are. So obviously for some tables, like if you just have a raw D10 table that has no ranges involved, it's just, 10 different items on a D10 table, they're all going to have the same likelihood of showing up because you're just rolling that dice and taking what it is. But the moment you're rolling 2 or more dice, unless it's a D100 that you're rolling, everything on that table is going to have a different likelihood of happening. And if you start compiling parts of the table and not others into ranges, those things have even a different weight to them. So this will let you kind of do that, knowing what weights look like for each and every one of the different styles of table you could roll. And it will let you build those with a little more intentionality. There were some times, fun fact, and this is all I'll talk about from this process. Sometimes when we are playtesting, tables will show up. And one of the bits of feedback I've given before is that the weighting on certain tables didn't make sense given the options that they were loaded with. So if you're writing your own thing, that is good to keep an eye out for, that the roll table you're building actually makes sense with the weights you're giving everything. And so, yeah, that would be something that I will throw out there for people to consider. The last thing actually that, I nearly glossed over the first time that I, encountered this, the document, was diceless dice, which are hilarious, but they are basically, it's a random table of D10 and D6 shapes with numbers on them. And if you need to roll a result on a dice, but you don't have your physical actual dice with you, you can pull this page out and close your eyes and then point at random to one of the dice, because it's kind of cut in half roughly. And you roll that instead, so that you can run this with just paper and you don't need your dice bag, which I think is an incredible addition. I never thought about doing something like that, but I think that that's very, very inspired. So yeah. Diamond, what are your favorite tables before I kind of give mine? I know I've kind of given mine as we've kind of flown through this, but what are your favorite tables here?
I guess looking at favorite tables, of course, having the random custom tables, that's just nice for me to have on hand. But like the random encounters are quite nice, especially if you have players that are very much like open worlding it, where they are free roaming, and having it where it fits in different places. Plot twists. There's so many plot twists in here I didn't think about. And having that on hand is nice. Also, just corpse items are nice.
Yes.
Those things are great, and just other things that kind of help add to the environment.
Yeah.
And then, like, one of my other favorite tables, it's in single player plus is where it's at. Which, I mean, I guess just quick rundown with single player mode plus. They have given us, they've decided to go rummaging through a bunch of the old Cyberpunk editions, Cyberpunk 2020, Cyber Generation, Cyberpunk V3, aka Green Cyberpunk, and found stuff that in here that's also useful. Such as, NPC motivations, or, why they don't, like a certain group.
Yeah.
How competent they are.
And I guess while we're talking about tables, I'll quickly run down because
the high rider tables. Go ahead.
Yeah, some of these are like actually my favorites. Because like I agree, the corpse item table, the random encounter table, those are both very, very, very good. The name tables also. That is something I've wanted for a long, long time. So just having name and handle tables are like very, very, very useful. But yeah, to go through Plus real quick, everything Plus gives us are tables. I don't think we got a single item in here that wasn't a table. So we have NPC motivation, NPC competence, NPC aggression. Why do they hate the organization? Then we have High Rider careers, which are the space nomads. Artificial intelligence levels, which is one that I have used so many times, and I keep struggling at remembering where this thing shows up in the older books, and I don't have to worry anymore. I just have it.
And it shows, like, I got a feeling this leans harder into rogue AIs, but I imagine this could be applied to the Psi as well.
Anything. Yeah. Any AI that you have in your game could have this applied to it.
Maybe that demon just happens to be a lot smarter than it looks.
Right. Yeah. Or it's gained a little bit of sentience. All of a sudden, we have a problem.
They copy pasted the encounters on the end cart train during the jacket in here as well for encounters on the subway.
Yeah. Then we have encounters on a transport, which could be anything else. So like other trains, or if you're on a multi-passenger like ferry or something like that. Because maybe your gig does not take place in Night City. Maybe it takes place elsewhere. We have encounters on the road, in a court building, and weather on the high seas, which very, very cool. I love that so much. The next thing that we have, unironically, is thing tables. So we have random junk and garbage, listening device location, which that made me like incredibly happy to see that. Because I cannot tell you how many times players, including Diamond here, have asked me, hey, GM, is there a listening device in here? And I say, yes. Like, where is it? And I have to figure it out.
I just look at random junk and garbage, a corpse.
Yep.
Only in Cyberpunk is a corpse considered random junk.
It is. It's worth less dead than alive. We've covered this before.
I mean, it's a free shield if you think about it.
Still worth less dead than alive there. Next we have atmosphere tables.
Atmosphere.
This is where I say the document on its own was a 9.5. These are what elevated to a 10. Because now we have elements of cyberpunk life. So this is anything from brand names to neon. So you can use that to build the scene with a sense of like, you go walking down the street and all around you are video screens as you walk into the crowded shopping district, right? Like you don't even need to roll on this table. This just gives you like good bits of atmosphere that you can glance at and be like, I know what I want, and just do that. There's also a hot night in the city, which is riots, protests, bad weather, fires, parades, power outages, public tech failure, spontaneous concerts or demonstrations, drag races, gang recruitment. Like there's all kinds of stuff going on in the city all the time. And there's sounds in the night. If you guys live in a city, you'll know exactly what this is like, because I live close enough to several major streets and highways that every now and then you'll hear someone tearing down the road. You'll hear their engine loud as hell, even though I'm far enough away from the street that I should not be hearing it that loudly. And yet I do. So you're hearing vroom and AV passed overhead, honk honk screech crash, a nearby traffic accident, chitter, clatter, alley rats foraging around in some trash cans, bang, 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 a drive-by shooting. There's all kinds of noises in there that you can just be like, let's see what we get. And so the next thing that we get, which I'm like, oh bless, scatter. So we have mechanical tables. So we have scatter tables. We can predict the scatter of a grenade now. We don't need to actually like home rule it as a GM and just be like, how are you determining scatter, GM? I don't know. I guess we'll just determine it on an evens odds roll or something like that. No. Now we just have a scatter table for a D6 that says, you know, did it land short? Did it land far? Did it land to the right or the left? Now you can just roll that shit. And it is resolvable without the need for other stuff. And then there's the Hollywood overacting effects, which I don't know quite why this is in mechanical, but I thought that this was hilarious. There's some really funny things here. My favorite, I think, is target screams, windmills arms, and falls. It's incredibly good. Then 2020 nerds, you are seen. Attackers aim at a person. We have hit location tables based on D6. And we also have them, so we have one for persons and one for vehicles. So we can now roll for hit location even. If you feel crunchy is your vibe. If you enjoy crunch in your game and you hate the fact that Cyberpunk Red oversimplified your game and you want more hit location stuff, you can now roll hit location. Congratulations. I probably will not be doing that at my table, to be quite clear, but I do think that this is a fun little addition. Then we have medical tables, which here we now go beyond why I think this is a 10, and we just go straight to an 11 with this.
This one, it's just like something's coming down the pipe, and it's like something I've been waiting for.
Yes. So we have surgical complication and medical symptoms tables now, which is really interesting. Like, this is, some of these are like, you know, you have a 50-50 shot of whether there were complications or not in surgery. Because the first 5 entries on the D10 is just, you didn't have a reaction. The back 5 are a mix of different things. We have anything from infection to going comatose, to being addicted to something, to having damage done to stats temporarily. It's very cool. So yeah, that summarized the plus DLC, but yeah.
Well, also medical symptoms, including headache, dizziness, fever, chills, sore throat, coughing, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, rash. That sounds like all the symptoms for all the different medications that they advertise on TV.
It does.
So, like,
yeah. Sounds like the legal byline they have to read. Like, yeah. At 4 times the normal speed. But yeah, no, the reality here is that with all of that, I think my favorites between the main book and the plus are the AI levels, definitely, the encounter tables, the fact that we now have things for morale, we have names, and what was the other one on here that I was like really excited about? Oh yes, pretty much all of the atmosphere tables that appear in the plus DLC, and the scatter table.
We have Treaty Fizz flavors now. We had Kibble flavors. We have more Kibble flavors now, but we have Treaty Fizz flavors now.
Yes, we do,
including mystery flavor.
Yes.
National Anthem.
National Anthem, my favorite. So yeah, this whole book has been incredible. So the last thing we have to go over here, as we wind down the second session, or second section, excuse me, of our show this week, we have the blank forms. Now, some of you are going to ask, well, Emmerron, is it really worth going over the blank forms? Yes. Because some of these are actually good for regular play, not just single player play. Some of these are going to be very like single player directed. Things like your solo play clocks and your quick and dirty combat stuff is by far going to be more, I think, tailored towards single play. You might encounter some of this in regular play if you're using them, like I described, to like build out a scene further with NPC conflict and stuff like that. But by and large, this stuff is more motivated for the single player. However, we have NPC forums. So you have like really, really simple ones that are just for like someone with a combat number and like a handful of important skills. You have really complex ones like those you'd see at the end of an adventure in one of the Tales books or in Danger God Dossier. And then we also have like a slightly simplified version of the NPC stat blocks here. Or no, that's the same one. I'm just stupid. Because they have ones that are portrait and ones that are landscape, so you can cut them out differently. All of these, though, have a series of tables for, or a series of sections, I should say, for NPC appearance and quirk details, so that you can write those things in that we didn't really consider maybe before all the time. We also have things like investigation and social challenge trackers built in here. So now you have stuff for that. I think, did we have an investigation tracker before this?
I don't think we had one in Did Somebody Say Murder? We just were given the like how to do an investigation. But let me pull Did Somebody Say Murder up here. Yeah, I might have missed it because with Did Somebody Say Murder, we got like the focus, the complexity.
Right.
It might be no, but we got examples of how cases could work. So
right. So now we actually have a tracker sheet for it, which is kind of awesome because now we just have a sheet that you can use for that, regardless. You also have a mission builder tracker, a beat chart tracker, and I think this is a sleeper. And I think a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to be like, well, you only use that ever in solo play. I say no, because I run on Foundry, and Foundry does this by default as a feature of the Cyberpunk Red Foundry system. And that is the IP tracking sheet. Now, those of you who are running this as a single play thing are going to like that just because it lets you separate out IP amongst multiple entities and run the game a little more smoothly for having known how this works, right? But what if every player at your table, if you're the GM, was given one of these so that they could track their IP per session as it was given, and they can say, you know, here's where my total is, right? And so you never have to ask them again, did you write down the IP last session? Because when I tell you how many times physical Cyberpunk I've encountered it where someone didn't write down their IP, oh my God, I would be so rich if I was earning money on that. It's insane. So the fact that now we can just have a ledger, we have a ledger sheet for this, so good. It is so good. And like, even if all you're doing as a GM is master sheeting this, so you know who everyone in the party is and how much IP they've received, this could just be a useful tool for you to have as a backup in case someone tries to squeeze an extra 80 IP, like, oh, GM, I don't know that I wrote it down last time. I did. This is where you're at. No, you don't have enough for your rank up yet. Oh man, like, you can do that now. It's going to be useful. So yeah, Diamond, what do you think about the forms? Is there something in there that you want to highlight?
Well, the IP tracking sheet, it is nice. Like looking at it, it says like Edgerunner dates, but it's like, would you have to do this for like every single Edgerunner in your party? Like, you would need a lot of copies of this sheet, and kind of, it would be nice if they were form fillable, or if we get like a form fillable packet, it would be really nice. I agree. Like, don't get me wrong, this is nice, but form fillable would be helpful.
I agree, and I even have asked Jay directly before, like, whether or not we're gonna get it, and his answer was inconclusive. So
ask the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't mean to dig, but it's just like
No,
just
and I mean
yes or no.
and that's fair. I also would very much like to see these made form fillable, especially for things like the NPCs.
I personally, for the sake of some players, as you know, when they encounter an important NPC, they go off to go do their mission, but then they come back like, "Who are you again?" Like, guys, this is the person that's supposed to pay you, guys.
Right. Yeah. No, this will be useful. I agree with that too. Yeah, the NPC tracker sheet could be very, very good for that, for sure. Because just being able to say like, okay, you know who this is, and like you could append this into a notebook easily with the way that they lay this out. So yeah, I personally feel like that could be very, very useful.
The mission builder / tracker and the beat chart tracker, that I think is a very helpful writing tool for when, especially like when I'm sitting down to write adventures. This would be very good for like the general notes of what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that too. I'm with you on that too. But yeah, no. So overall, I've made my opinion very well known. This DLC, or the not DLC, the single player mode is a weird one because I keep wanting to call it a DLC. It is not a DLC. It is a full featured supplement.
Expansion.
Yeah, like single player mode as a supplement and the DLC that supports it. I've made my opinion known. I think this thing knocked every element of what it's trying to do out of the park. The literal only criticism that I could give, as we've kind of discussed here at the end, is that we don't have a form fillable version of the blank forms. Yeah. But I got to imagine one way or another, it's only a matter of time until we get them. We always get form fillable versions of every sheet, form, etc. that we've ever gotten. So there's no shot that we don't get these somewhere, right? So yeah, ultimately, I think the product overall, 10 out of 10, get it. The $10 at base price that it's worth, that it's, valued at, it's fucking worth it. It's so worth it. It's so valuable. Like all these tools are things that even you as a regular GM with players at a table you're going to want this. It's just incredibly good. Diamond, how do you feel about it?
All in all, this is going to be a part of like what I'm using here. As I had mentioned before, and I don't know if I had mentioned this in the previous episode or like in the earlier half, but this very much, as someone who ran a lot of Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 and Pathfinder 1E, back in like the late 2010s, early 2020s, it was nice having these roll tables to fill in the blanks as needed. Yeah. So for any game master, this is a good addition to your collection.
Yes. This is, I said it in my review, I know, that I would have just called this GM Toolkit. Also, there's some solo rules in here, but that's not as snappy a title as single player mode. So titling it, I think they knocked it out of the park. But for real, this is as much a Game Master Toolkit as it is a single player experience for Cyberpunk. I would highly recommend it. I would highly recommend it.
I mean, I understand, for the sake of confusion, they didn't name it that, but naming it solo mode would have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bunch of us were referring to it that way, and Jay has had to repeatedly remind people, no,
it's single player mode.
It's SPM, it's single player mode. It is not solo mode.
Even Peter is calling it solo play throughout the book, and I'm like,
but it is solo play. It is solo play. It is not a single player play is a mouthful. Solo play is much better. But if you're titling the book single player mode, makes I think that is a better title. They were right. Like whoever made that differentiation at the end of the day, you did good. So as we come down to the end of our episode this week, we are already pretty much at time, so I don't think we're going to do a Q&A this week. That said, I do have a very small announcement, I suppose, that is more of a call to action from the broader community. So there's a couple things. The first, and the one that I don't want you to miss out on, next week, we are going to have Peter Norton, who helped write this, on the podcast. He's going to be here. We are interviewing him. We, as always, have our own questions that we are going to ask him. We've been told by him that he isn't sure he'll be able to do our usual 2.5 hours. We've told him, hey, if you got to bug out early, totally fine. But he's going to give us at least an hour. So obviously, if there's any way we could ask him questions of, from the community, if any of you out there have questions for Peter, please send them to us. You can do that through one of several channels. As usual, you can put it down in the comments. You can put that in our individual DMs. We do have spots on our Discord servers where you can put those questions in. Any channel that you want to send a question through. We also have the email, the largely unused by many email that is the wireheadspod@googlegroups.com. If you send us an email there, we will also be able to look at that and add that to our list of things to ask. But yes, this is where I wanted to make sure that everyone's aware Peter's coming on the show next week. So if you are listening to this even on Sunday, when we normally release these to the general public on YouTube and Spotify, you have time. So get us your questions. We will be happy to ask them if we have the time with him. Second announcement. Both of us, Diamond and I, are going to be running games for Roll20Con, which is an online tabletop convention, next weekend, which is September, I've got to remind myself,
26th through the 28th.
Yep, 26th through the 28th. The current plan that I have is I'm going to be running a game on Friday afternoon, a game on Saturday evening, and I'm going to be running both an afternoon and an evening game on Sunday. I've got the Sunday afternoon and Friday afternoon games up right now over on my StartPlaying profile. They are paid games, but the payment that you make is a donation to the Trevor Project, which both Diamond and I have talked about before on the podcast here. It is incredibly important, and your support would mean a lot if you were to join us, and you get a game out of it as well. So you get to donate to a good cause, you get to play some Cyberpunk Red, you get to, do some dangerous shit. I will be running, right now, the games I have up, I have 2 sessions of Pay to Win, and the 2 that I have not put up yet, just because I don't have a title yet, is the adventure that I've been tirelessly working on from the subathon from last year. Those of you,
I don't know when this guy sleeps. He's been working on it, and I don't know when he sleeps.
The answer is throughout most of the morning and some of the afternoon, because I literally stay up all night. Like, once we leave the podcast tonight, I'm probably going to grab some water, and I am going to sit back down at the same computer, stare at the same monitor that I'm looking at right now, and finish writing this thing, because I am
Make sure you eat something.
Oh, I gorged my face with burgers and chili fries earlier, and I have the leftovers of that in the fridge still. Oh, don't worry, I've eaten. I will eat more. But yeah, so so that is thing number. And then yes, Diamond, what are you running at Roll20Con?
And then on my half, I have 4 sessions of it. I will have one on Friday afternoon before my normal evening game. I'll have one on Saturday morning before my absolute busy rush. That is the Saturday games. And then, last but not least, well, not last but not least, I've also got another game on Saturday night, late at night. Yes, Europeans, I understand. You want me to be up a little bit later at night for you guys, so I have that there. And then finally, I'll have one more game on Sunday as well. So I'll have 4 different games up, and I will be running my Scream Sheet Hungry for Violence. It's a 3-hour adventure, in, out, nice chunk of combat, and some, high octane car chase. So what could possibly go wrong?
It's going to be a good time. So yeah, that is what we have for Roll20Con coming up at the end of next week. So if you want to play, the listings are going to be up on both the Roll20Con page that StartPlaying has. They're also up on each of our profiles. Those are also linked down in the description for those of you on YouTube. And I believe they are linked somewhere in the Spotify description or show notes. But if you come over to either of our YouTube channels, click on any video of ours, or an episode of the podcast, you'll have access to those if they're not up on Spotify for some reason. The last thing, and this is something that I have mentioned before, but is just reminding people, for any of you that are in the Arizona area, the state of Arizona, and you are planning to be or would like to come to RinCon in Tucson, Arizona, October 3rd through the 5th, Diamond, myself, and our friends Evan and Connor are going to be running a mix of games for that convention. Diamond is going to be running Curseborn and Shadowscar. I'm going to be running Shadowscar and Daggerheart. Connor is going to be running Cyberpunk and Daggerheart, and Evan will be running Curseborn and Cyberpunk. So we have an assortment of those games, and it will tell you which of us is running each one on the con's schedule. If you would like to be part of that and join us in playing some games down there, we would love to see you at our tables. I will also see if I can't. Yeah, here we go. This is the RingCon schedule. I believe the signups for events don't start until Monday, I believe. Yeah, or no, Sunday. It'll be Sunday this week. The 21st is when these will be going live. So if you're listening to this on the recorded portion on YouTube or Spotify, now you know about it. Go over there, sign up. I've been told the con is not a particularly large one. So odds are we will have seats available at least one of our games. If you are in Twitch, I've just linked to the convention schedule there, so you may see when and where our games are. But yes, we are very excited to be running for that as well at the end of the month, beginning of next month. It all kind of blurs together at the end. But yeah, we have a very busy couple of weeks ahead. We're very excited for everything that they are going to have in them. And we will probably sleep extremely well on the other side of them. So, yeah, anything else from you, Diamond, that I have overlooked announcing?
Not off the top of my head. I think we're good to go.
All right. Very cool. So YouTube, Spotify, it has been a pleasure as usual. I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and until next time, peace.
Bye-bye.